Welcome back to another episode of Mirai Club. I am not sitting in a Mirai. I'm sitting in a 2023 Camaro, Chevy Camaro 1LT, essentially the base model, the 4-cylinder turbo. I really enjoyed driving this car, to be honest. Practicality wise, it's not as great as like a Mustang or even a Challenger in the pony car category, but chassis feels great. Engine has a lot of turbo lag, but it feels pretty good and feels peppy. Anyway, the video is not about the car really. I'm on my way to return it, and that brings me to the topic of the day of reimbursements. Reimbursements for what? Reimbursements for fuel. So for those of you that don't know, probably do know by now if you've been watching the channel, but for those of you that don't, if you own a Toyota Mirai and your primary, I've heard different criteria, but this is what I'm getting from the horses, like from the source, I guess. If your primary and your secondary station are down, so usually your closest one and second closest one are down, Toyota will offer a rental through Avis, from my experience so far. And during your time of the rental, the rental is covered first off, so no out-of-pocket payments. And regarding fuel, they reimburse fuel during your rental. 1 tank per day is the limit, and essentially that's a lot of driving. With that being said, there have been some changes that were made, weren't announced, but I don't know if they would need to be honest. Such a small change, or it's such a small audience, I would imagine. But the change is, cutting to the chase, there were no limitations of where you can go or when. I take that back. There are still no limitations of where you can take the rental. So it's unlimited miles and you can take it wherever you want to go. However, Toyota will only authorize a reimbursement when it is used in California only. So for those of you that don't know, Toyota Mirai is only sold in California. So I'm based in Southern California, in the LA area. If I wanted to take a trip to Vegas, which I recently did with an electric car, all the fill-ups in Nevada would technically, under this new rule, not be reimbursable. So that's new. I just noticed during my my Toyota ticket that I'm attached to right now, the message was a little longer than what I usually see. There's an automated message that indicates, hey, your last day of rental is this date, and make sure to submit your fuel, your fuel receipts. And then I saw a blurb at the bottom that says only in California now. So that's an update. If you are getting a rental from Toyota due to the hydrogen infrastructure being down, it's something to keep in mind. You could take the car anywhere. You just won't get reimbursed if you refuel somewhere outside of California. So no cross-country road trips where Toyota covers everything. So I'm sure Toyota, you are watching this, because coincidentally I found this update after I went to Vegas with the Ioniq 5. So sorry if I blew it for other people, or if I was even the source, but just wanted to let everyone know that if you get a rental, you can't reimburse fuel. I said it like 4 times already. You get the idea. But back to the topic of when you are eligible, like when are you eligible to actually get a rental covered from Toyota due to infrastructure being down? So from my experience, it's primary and secondary, so 2 stations. Granted, my general area, there's not a high density of hydrogen fill-up stations. If you're in the LA proper, Orange County, like Irvine, Santa Ana, Tustin area, or even say like Torrance or Palos Verdes, there are plenty of stations in a small, in a short vicinity, or within, there's a higher density. So I don't know if they'll use that rule for locations like that, because just say within a 10-mile radius, you may have way more than 2 stations. I'm pretty sure they might use a different rule. But when I first got my rental for the infrastructure being down, they told me that it's a 15-mile radius from wherever you're located. Now they use primary and secondary from where I am, so which is closer to the Diamond Bar Baldwin Park station. But let me know what if you do have a Toyota Mirai, what your experience has been, what rules have they told you? Because I've gotten mixed responses from Toyota reps, Mirai reps, but overall, it's usually been the primary, secondary stations being down. Anyway, I'm on my way to return the car now. I've submitted my receipts, and I did have to do a reprint because the printer wasn't working at the gas pump. And if that is the case, if you do have to do a reprint, make sure to include your credit card statement or your debit card, whatever you use to pay, some sort of statement to prove and link the two transactions, or link the transaction to a proof of purchase. And then once that's done, from my experience, it usually takes 2 to 3 weeks to receive the check in the mail. But just make sure that's done. Check the ticket make sure it's approved. But yeah, here we go. I hope that helps. Definitely something that Toyota hasn't announced, nor do I expect them to announce it. But you heard it here first. California gas stations only, or EV charging ports probably are in that camp for reimbursement if you get a rental due to the hydrogen stations being down.